see there the 3 wise men with camels. And there's the tradition that we 3 kings. But really nowhere in Scripture does it say that there were only 3 kings. There were 3 gifts. And so they figured 1 gift per person. But we don't know. Growing up each year, Pastor Don Wagner would share with our congregation the story of the other wise men by Henry VanDyke. What if there were 4? This is a story that I would come to church each year just to hear. It's a story that has had a major influence on my own personal theology, my understanding of God. And it's a story that I wish to continue Pastor Don's tradition of sharing this story every year in Epiphany, hoping that all of you have your hearts touched as deeply as mine, and that you can hear God speaking to you through this story. In the days when Augustus Caesar was the ruler over many kings, including Herod in Jerusalem, there lived in the mountains of Persia a certain man named Artaban. Artaban was one of the Magi, learned men who would study the stars at night in search for truth about the one God. Together with his friends, Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar, Artaban had made an amazing discovery. In ancient writings, they found a promise that at a certain time, a new star would rise. And at that star's rising, a king would be born. He would be the truth, sent from the Most High, the Son of God. Well, Artaban believed that time to be near, and so he sold his house and his possessions, and with them he bought 3 jewels as gifts for the new king. He bought a sapphire, as blue as the Persian night sky, a ruby, as red as the first rays of sunrise, and a pearl as pure and white as the snow-capped mountains at twilight. Each night, Artaban spent searching the night sky. And then, at last, there in the distance, could it be only a spark at first? But as it rose, it grew. First blue, then red, then a gleaming white, bright light. "It is the sign!" Artaban exclaimed. And so in haste, he put together provisions for his journey. He had made plans with his friends, Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar, that by midnight, 10 days from the star's rising, they would meet at the temple in Babylon. And from there, they would set out together to find the king. Artaban saddled Vazda, his fastest horse, and they rode off into the night. They rode over grassy hills, through lush valleys, climbing mountains, and crossing rivers. After 10 days, they had barely stopped for food or rest. And Vazda was worn and tired. Artaban knew that they were just a few hours from Babylon, when suddenly something startled Vazda. Artaban dismounted to see what it was. And there, off the side of the road, was a body of a man. Artaban turned to leave, but there was a groan and a tug at his robe. The man was alive. Artaban knew that without help, this man would not survive. But if he helped, he would surely miss his friends. Artaban turned to the star he had been following. "O God of truth and light, show me the wisdom for which you would have me do." And then Artaban knew. Hour after hour, Artaban spent nursing this man back to health, giving him cool sips of water and medicines he made from the herbs he carried with him. When at last the man was well enough, he said to Artaban, "I have nothing with which to repay you, but I can offer you this. From our prophets, we know that the Messiah is to be born in Bethlehem and not Jerusalem. That is where you must seek him." And with a Hebrew man's blessing, Artaban rode off, reaching the temple in Babylon by the first light of dawn. His friends were long gone. But underneath a brick at the foot of the temple, Artaban found a note. "Artaban, we have waited until well past midnight and can delay no longer. We go to find the king. Come and follow us across the desert." Artaban's heart sank. He knew that Vazda was too exhausted to make this journey alone. And so he took out his sapphire and he bought a camel and provisions for the long journey ahead. Week after week, month after month, Artaban crossed the desert, always following the star, always hoping to catch up with his friends, always praying to find the king. When Artaban finally reached Bethlehem, he searched the streets, and there in a small cottage he saw a young woman cradling her baby. Could it be? No, it wasn't her. But she fed him and she spoke with him. Yes, there had been some strangers that had been here from far away, and they brought with them very odd gifts that they gave to Mary and Joseph and their child. But just as quickly as they came, they left. And then Joseph and his family, they left during the night. No one knows why, but rumor has it they went to Egypt. Then all at once there was an uproar in the streets. Swords were clashing, women were shouting and screaming, "The soldiers! Herod's soldiers! They're killing our children!" Artaban wasted no time. He motioned for the woman and her baby to hide in the corner, and he went and stood in the frame of the door. He reached his hand into his pocket and he pulled out the ruby. When the captain of the guard approached, Artaban said this: "I am alone here, and I have this jewel for whoever will leave me in peace." The man greedily snatched up the ruby and motioned for the soldiers to move on. Once again, Artaban turned to the star he had been following. "O God of truth, forgive me for saying that which was not true in order to save the life of this child, and for once again giving to another what was meant only for you. Will I ever be worthy to see the King?" The next morning, Artaban left for Egypt. He saw the Nile and the pyramids, always searching. He found many to serve, but none to worship. After 33 years with his body old and tired, Artaban thought to return once more to Jerusalem to seek the King there. When he arrived, the city was busy with preparations for the Passover, but there was something more. There was a pushing, a shouting, and so when Artaban inquired what was going on, he was told, "Well, haven't you heard? 2 thieves are to be crucified, and with them a man, Jesus of Nazareth. Some say he is the Son of God. He is to be executed because he said that he was the King of the Jews." Artaban's heart raced. Could this be the one he had been searching for all these years? And then he reached in his pocket and felt the pearl. Maybe, just maybe, he could give the pearl to the enemies of the King and he could rescue him. Artaban turned to leave, and just then some soldiers dragged a young girl in front of him. She was dirty. Her hair was tangled, her dress was torn. She cried out to him, "Help me, kind sir. My father died owing a large sum of money, and I am to be sold into slavery to pay his debt. Save me from a life worse than death." Twice before, Artaban had missed the King because he stopped to help another in need. Twice before, he had given the gift that he meant for the King to another. But wouldn't helping this girl be an act of love? And isn't that what this God was all about? Artaban pressed the pearl in the girl's hand. "Your ransom is paid for." Just then the sky turned black. Thunder rolled in the streets. The soldiers ran off as the buildings began to sway back and forth as the earth shook. And a piece of tile from a roof fell and it struck Artaban in the temple. He fell to the ground bleeding. As the girl sat there cradling Artaban's head in her lap, she couldn't see who he was speaking to, but she could hear him in his Persian tongue. "When, Lord? When did I see you hungry and feed you? Or thirsty and give you drink? When did I see you a stranger and welcome you? Or sick and in prison and visit you? I have searched for you for 33 years and I have never seen your face." And then the girl heard the voice. Gentle, but strong. "Whenever you served any of my children, you served me." And then, with a great peace, the other wise man found his king. Amen.